Well, here it is. It's finally done. The long-awaited light gun cabinet. I've been talking about this on my channel for probably a whole year now. I've been planning it for almost a whole year now, and it is finally done. I'm going to put an asterisk next to the done part because, as you've probably noticed, there's no two-player gun yet. That is because I'm kind of waiting on either going with Sinden light guns and replacing these, and I can't really get a hold of another aim track gun right now unless I want to pay gouging prices on eBay. So you're probably wondering what the heck happened to this cabinet. This did start out as a Final Fight cabinet. I essentially decapitated the cabinet and put a 32-inch Insignia TV on top of it. The reason for that is I've seen other light gun builds. I've actually played another light gun Arcade1Up build with a 17-inch monitor. In my opinion, it's not big enough, not even close. Even going to the 20-inch mod, it still isn't big enough. It's not really worth it to me to get 3 extra inches. So what I decided to do was get the full arcade experience, which means I have a now 25-inch playfield, which is the exact same sized monitor that was inside the real arcade cabinets that I used to love. So you get 25 inches. Unfortunately, you get the black bars on either side. Maybe in the future I'll put in some like side art here from MAME, and that way it'll show something other than the black bars, but personally they don't bother me that much. So how this came about was, once again, I wanted a bigger monitor. I still wanted to be able to keep a marquee, and I knew that wasn't possible to get it on top of this. It may have been possible if I was a better woodworker, and I'm not good at all, unfortunately. I try to be good, it just doesn't really work out. This was even kind of a struggle. I cut this off very carefully. I measured it very carefully to make sure I didn't make a mistake and ruin an entire Arcade1Up cabinet, but luckily it worked on the first try. Now once I figured out that the marquee could sit lower in the cabinet like this, and I could tilt it farther back, then I realized, hey, I can put a big monitor on top of this, and it'll work kind of like this is almost like a pedestal arcade in a weird way. This is the sensor bar here for the aim track light guns. Now if I switch to Sinden, I will not need that anymore. But for now, it's up there, and it really doesn't bother me that much. It's just kind of, it is what it is. I would have put it lower, but I didn't want any light down here distracting from the sensor bar, so it's up here now. My original plan was to have a custom deck cut. I was going to put a trackball inside here. That way I could play games also like Golden Tee, bowling games, anything that I want that requires a trackball, kind of make this a double purpose cabinet. I had to cut some expenses somewhere, and the delays on getting anything in right now are just getting too high, so I just said screw that. I'm going to go with this for now, and I can always add a trackball here later. The wire for the light gun actually works conveniently through the front panel here. I think that's the J panel or whatever it's called. It just goes right up under the deck. It actually cinches the cord a little bit, not enough to pinch it, but it's to where you can't yank any more out and none's gonna fall back in the cabinet. It really worked out perfectly. These buttons are themed like the original cabinet. What's gonna happen is these are gonna be removed. I'm gonna put these color buttons up here, change these to a different color, more kind of carnival-y, probably with an orange and a yellow. Just kind of goofy colors, stuff I would not normally do. And up here I'm gonna have my wife print a player 1 and a player 2 in vinyl, and we're gonna stick that on there. These buttons, the purple buttons, will exit any game that you're in. The green on this side moves up on Launchbox, and then it moves down on Launchbox on this side. You select your game by pressing any of the start buttons. I've mounted the light gun here using a holster. It works great. It's actually bolted through the cabinet. It goes inside there. I wanted to use bolts instead of screws to make sure it did not rip out over the repeated use of this thing. And once again, this is an aim track light gun. I'm actually quite happy with how they work. A lot of people don't like them that much. They're pretty good. I'll probably switch to Sinden at some point. So now I'm going to show you what it looks like from the side. This is the only thing that I wish I would have done differently. This build got done in a hurry yesterday. I haven't even cut off the extra zip tie there just yet, so don't mind that. That will get cut off. Also, I'm not 100% sure I'll stick with this sound system in the long run, but for now, it's the usual one I do on all my mods, a 2.1. There is a subwoofer down inside the cabinet, gives it that booming feeling, which is nice. Now back here, this is how the monitor is mounted. It's from Amazon. It was like a $30 mount. It came with 2 options. One of them is a clamp mount that I could just slide to this piece of wood back here, and it just held it on there, but I didn't like how far back it made it. I've actually made it to where the monitor is flush with the marquee, which I think looks a lot better. There's no gap underneath. You're not seeing any daylight coming through the back there. So when I bolted it here, it was actually kind of like a stroke of luck. I just eyeballed it and put it on there, and it worked out. So this is now bolted into the cabinet. This is a piece of MDF that is in between the open spot for the cutoff part of the cabinet. It has been lined with vinyl, black vinyl, so it looks like it's painted, looks like it's part of the cabinet. That way I don't have any janky looks back there. So the reason I decided to permanently mount this thing to the cabinet is because I did not want this thing to be in two pieces. Essentially, I want this to be able to move. I mean, I can move this whole cabinet around. It's in one piece. The monitor is pretty good and sturdy on there. It's not going to fall off. That's what I always like. Now, I know this is not a real arcade cabinet, but I like to pretend that it is, and I like it to function like a real arcade cabinet. One of the things I really liked about the Insignia TV, and the reason I chose the Insignia TV is for two reasons, really. Insignia doesn't make the most high quality TVs, which is fine for this case because these games all run at like actually they run at less than 480i. Most of them run at pretty low resolution. So it doesn't matter at all that it's only a 720p TV. But I knew that when you start these Insignias up, if it was on basically and you pulled the plug and you plug it back in, it'll come back on. And that's what I need because I boot these cabinets up with one switch. The PC fires up, all the lights fire up, and everything's ready to go. I don't have to go grab the remote, turn on the TV, it's always ready. When I shut it down, I just shut down the PC, flip the power strip switch that's built into the cabinet, and that's it. It turns off and it boots up like a regular arcade. This is the side art I got. I even got riser art this time, which is rare. I think this side art looks really nice. This is from Escape Pod. And one big reason I chose CarnEvil is because I knew the art would end. Most of the art ends about right here. The rest is just kind of extra filler stuff. And this way, I wasn't cutting off any of the art. I knew if I picked Area 51 art, you would see part of the alien and that was it. This is like perfect. I mean, the bulk of the art ends here and that's all you have to really see, and it's the same on both sides. The way I attached this piece of wood back here, by the way, is I actually bought something that could drill pocket holes, or I think that's what it's called. The recessed hole. You can drill your hole and then it leaves a recessed mark so you can put your art on over it. And it actually went really good. There's one here. It's kind of hard to see in low light. There's a screw here and a screw here, but I wanted to be sure I applied the art after, so I hid all the screw holes. While I was building this cabinet and planning this cabinet, I thought of just about every little detail I could think of. I planned it for months in advance. One thing I failed to really think about was the fact that once you see this cabinet from the side, you're going to end up seeing a lot of basically the stuff you wouldn't normally see. Now, again, this isn't a big deal. It's for a home arcade, but I like things to look nice, so if I was a better woodworker, I probably would have tried to save some of the original cabinet, make it come up here and then flare to the back. That way you wouldn't see all the extra stuff back here. So what I may do in the future is come up with some kind of thin material and build almost like a wall all the way around the back and have it touch here. Maybe leave a gap if I end up using these speakers so the sound can still escape right here. That may be a project I do down the line. If I do, I'll definitely share a video of it. Now, I've been so busy with the wife being in an accident recently, and if you've been following the channel, you can know what happened. But if you don't know, essentially she was in a accident where she was actually hit by a jet ski, which is crazy. So anyway, she hasn't been able to walk very well, and we're trying to get her better, and it's just made things really slow. Now, that said, she's the genius when it comes to putting the art on. She applies the vinyl on all my cabinets. She's really good at it. I would mess it up horribly if I did it. I'm awful at that kind of stuff. I let her do that. I asked her, can you do it? Are you well enough to do it? And I made it as easy for her as I possibly could, which was not terribly easy, but she was a trooper and she got it on there for me. So special thanks to Mrs. Killer Arcade Games for getting that done. One last thing, when I came up with this, I thought this could actually be used for another purpose. It's great for light guns, but if you want to play the new Mortal Kombat games, the new Killer Instinct, the new Street Fighter, whatever it may be, all those games run on a widescreen perspective now, or aspect ratio, whatever you want to call it, which makes it kind of difficult to run on a stock Arcade1Up monitor since they're 4x3, and it just looks weird. So when I was standing here working on this, I realized this would be actually really good for those kind of games, but this monitor is actually way too big. If you're going to build one of these just for that purpose, if you see this video and you get that idea, I highly recommend you go with like a 26-inch maybe even test that out first, kind of stand close to it. If it seems like too much, bump it down to like a 24-inch and you'll probably be in that sweet spot, and you can get like a super high-res PC monitor for that, and it'll probably look amazing. You can install your controls as usual, still have a marquee, but you'll have a bigger screen, a bigger widescreen play area, and I think it would look really nice. If you want to see some more of this cabinet, more of my other cabinets down the line, please consider subscribing for more. I will be doing some live streams soon, showing off some gameplay here. If you enjoyed this video and you think the cabinet looks good, please give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of the cabinet. I'm excited to hear what all the subscribers have been thinking. I've been talking about it forever, so it's finally here. Thank you guys for watching. Have a Merry Christmas if you celebrated. Have a Happy New Year and all that. We're going to definitely be doing some live streams during that time off, so be sure you check out the channel for more.
The freak show, see the strange and bizarre. Step right up, we love to see you. We think you could be the star.
I always end up playing this game more like a shotgun since the game was with a shotgun, and the reload is actually this button here, so it's kind of cool. Oh, well, that didn't work out. So I hold it more like a shotgun so I can just reload quickly that way. And the crosshairs make it a little easier. I know a lot of people hate the crosshairs.